And our next speaker today, you met her yesterday, Haya. She did a great job of facilitating the panel of current and former interns, some or most of all who are still in college. Several of them were members of and also had started their own cybersecurity club in high school and college. Haya Arfat was among one of the top competitors on the top teams in the first ever Girls Go CyberStart competition, which is using the CyberStart game. She is a sophomore in college and the Scholarship Assistance Director for the National Cyber Scholarship Foundation, and she loves to play squash, so that means she's got some pretty quick skills. Haya, take it away.
Hi, everyone. I'm glad to be back, and I hope you guys are excited for day 3. So I'm here today to talk about starting a cyber club at your high school or college. But before we dive right in, I want to talk a little bit about my personal experience with cybersecurity clubs when I was in high school and now that I'm in college. So my high school was pretty well off when it comes to having opportunities for students that were interested in computer science. So we had a really active computer science club that had probably like around 100 members, and we met like every other day and we did tons of competitions. And so my junior year, I did Girls Go CyberStart, and I really enjoyed it. And that was my first time ever really being introduced to cybersecurity. And so after doing that, I really, I wanted to get like more girls involved in doing Girls Go CyberStart the next year, but I also wanted the rest of my club to also start learning a little bit more about cybersecurity, because while we were all interested in computer science and we did lots of, we did programming competitions and we talked about more like software development type stuff in our club meetings, I wanted to help people like gain exposure with how there are so many like other fields within computer science, like cybersecurity. So my senior year, I became the first cybersecurity officer of our computer club. And so I started getting our club involved in doing more competitions. So we did things like Lockheed Martin's CyberQuest, we did Cyber Patriot, we did Girls Go CyberStart again. And so I saw that all the students who participated were really enjoying it. And so after I graduated, I asked my teacher that was sponsoring this club if she could start incorporating more like cybersecurity into the weekly lessons that they do. And so now I just finished up my freshman year at Texas A&M, and A&M has a really active cyber club. So A&M Cyber Club has probably around 200 members, and we meet twice a week. And our officer team, so during our meetings, we usually have our officers who will either be giving a presentation about some things. If it's a meeting geared towards beginners, it might be a presentation like Introduction to Linux. And then we also bring in guest speakers. We do things like resume reviews. But I went from a school that had very little opportunities with cybersecurity and that didn't really do a whole lot with it, to now a college that has a really like flourishing cybersecurity club. So I'm here today to talk to you guys about how you can either get started and create a new cybersecurity club if your high school or college doesn't have one, or even if you have one, how you can help it grow and improve and make the most use out of having this group of students that all share your interest and passion in cybersecurity. So when you're starting a club, the very first thing that you need to do, if your club hasn't already been established, is to find yourself a faculty sponsor. So in high school, you're looking for a teacher, and in college, you're trying to find a professor. And so my best advice for picking a sponsor is trying to find someone who is going to be able to like support you. So that might be a teacher or professor that teaches computer science or cybersecurity, or at least some kind of technical, like tech-related course, and so that they can help you find speakers and they have some background and they'll be able to actually support your club rather than just being a name on a document and a classroom for you to use. Once you've found your faculty sponsor and you've taken the steps to actually get your club founded at your high school or at your college, your next step is usually to find a group of officers. Sorry. So when you're starting out a cybersecurity club, you're gonna want to have a small but really dedicated group of officers, and your officer team is probably going to look different school to school depending on what kind of needs your club has. So you're going to want to have a president, because having a strong leader is honestly one of the most essential things to having a successful cyber club. You're probably going to want to have a vice president, someone who's hopefully an underclassman that can eventually take over as president. You're going to want to have a treasurer if your club collects dues or you do anything involving money. And then you might want, if you're a club that's a little bit more established and you already have like an idea of what you're doing, you might want to have someone that's in charge of putting together curriculum, someone that's in charge of like maybe social media. But when you're starting out, you really want your team just to be the core members, and you want to try to find people that are as dedicated and as passionate as you are, because you're only as strong as your weakest member. And honestly, if you have you can have a larger group of officers, but what I've noticed is that you start to see various levels of commitment. And so when you're starting out, I personally think it's better to start out with a smaller group of people who are really dedicated and who are going to help you achieve your goals. So once you've got your faculty sponsor and you've got your officer team and your club is actually established with your school, and even if you're not able to create a formal club, you can still have your own informal club. It might just be a little bit more difficult to find a meeting spot or to find like a classroom to reserve and to be able to participate in some of those school-only competitions. But once you've gotten these first three things figured out, you're going to want to start recruiting members. So there are many ways you can go about recruiting members, depending on like who your audience is. I know my school was really big on using Facebook groups. So for my high school, it would make sense to like have a Facebook page and to be like really active on there. And so for other schools, it might be like having an Instagram page or having a Twitter account or something that's going to help you get the word out there. Getting yourself on the announcements, whether that's your like high school's daily announcements, whether that's some kind of like announcement board, whether your college has some kind of newsletter or announcements, or if your department has some kind of announcements. Usually having an emailing list is a really great way to get the word out there. If you're a high school student, you should try asking your your teacher that's sponsoring you if they can get your announcement out into whatever emailing list that goes out to your students. And most colleges have emailing lists that the clubs can use to send out announcements or to send out like event reminders and stuff to the whole student body. So I would definitely take advantage of that, because that's how you're going to be able to reach the most amount of people. When it comes to social media, you have to put in a lot more effort to build up a following, but things like these newsletters or these emailing lists that teachers, professors, departments already have, they already have a built-in audience, and you're a lot more likely to reach more people by going that route. Setting up booths at any like events your school does. So like my high school does an event for incoming freshmen. And so they have all the clubs set up booths, and they get to like talk to the students, talk about what their club is like, and engage with them. And I know most colleges also have like expos or fairs for either prospective students or incoming freshmen. So I would definitely take advantage of these opportunities to actually get out there and start spreading the word. And then another really good way, and honestly, this is pretty overlooked when you're kind of planning getting the word out there and like recruiting members, but just word of mouth. It's really nice to have, if you, let's say you go to teachers that maybe teach a related course like computer science, cybersecurity, IT, even math, and letting them know that, hey, there's a cybersecurity club. Can you please make a little announcement to your students at the beginning of class and let them know to get in touch with me if they want to join. I did a survey of some of the college clubs I've been working with, and I noticed a lot of them put down that word of mouth was their best way of recruiting members, whether that's just asking their members to tell their friends, asking professors to make announcements during classes, posting on department, like little announcement boards. But honestly, the most committed, you want to try to build a community. So word of mouth is usually a pretty good way of recruiting members, because you're not only building a personal relationship with these people that you're now talking one-on-one to, but you can also hear their ideas and you can really like give them the laydown of what you want to do and what you do as a club. So once you've started recruiting members, it's time to actually start doing meetings. And so what do you do during these meetings? If you're a new club, you might not have such a clear idea. So what I've seen from what my club does and what all these other clubs that of these college clubs that I surveyed, a lot of them, they teach lessons. So like the A&M club, they have a Tuesday meeting and a Thursday meeting, and one is for beginners and one is for more advanced students. And they have a officer or even a club member give a presentation where they're usually teaching about a subject. And so that might be, like I said, intro to Linux, it might be introduction to computer forensics, but just teaching a little lesson. And even if you yourself don't know a whole lot about a topic, but you still want to teach your members and you want to learn, there's a lot of resources out there that you can take advantage of. So you can use, I know Trail of Bits has a really good CTF field guide that I think has some little categories and lessons in there. And then CTF 101 has some really good material that you could use to develop your own lessons. And there's many other things online that you could do to teach your students. And usually an easy way when it comes to cybersecurity, when you're looking for like lessons, sometimes it's easier to go the route of looking for like CTF preparation, because that's when you see things broken down into categories rather than just looking up like lessons about cybersecurity, because those are typically more geared towards like those are more like official courses and for people that are like trying to get certificates or jobs. If you look up CTFs and how to prepare for them, you'll find that there is a huge wealth of information out there that you can use to build your own lessons and presentations for your members. Doing competitions as a club is also a whole lot of fun, and it's also like a great way to get new members is when you have competitions coming up. You can like promote these to your other clubs, like your computer science club or your robotics club, or to like the computer science department, and let them know, hey, this competition's coming up. Do you want to come participate? Like come join a cybersecurity club and do this with us. So if you're a high schooler, that would be something like Cyber Patriot, CyberStart America, Lockheed Martin CyberQuest, HSCTF, which is actually a CTF made by high schoolers for high schoolers. And if you're in college, it would be something like NCL, which is the National Cyber League, Cyber Fast Track, which is the sort of college version of CyberStart America. There's the Collegiate Cyber Defense Challenge, or the CCDC. And there's a lot more competitions out there. You can use CTF time actually to go and find some, and it'll even let you narrow them down to competitions that are specifically for college students or specifically for high schoolers or for beginners. Another really great activity to build into your club is doing like going over write-ups for CTFs and having discussions about this. So for most CTFs, you'll find that there are, after CTF, a lot of people like to go and post their write-ups or their walkthroughs of it. And so there's a lot of, I know a lot of people do this on GitHub, but even like Medium has its own little section of where people post write-ups. You can look up, I know CTF Time actually has a little forum where you can go and you can see write-ups for past CTFs. And then I know you can find write-ups for past like CyberStart America or Cyber Fast Track competitions. And honestly, just doing a Google search, like Hack the Box write-up, you can find people's write-ups and solutions, and you can maybe even find like YouTube videos that are like walkthroughs talking about how someone solved challenges. Those can be really great for both like preparing for a competition and then also just for like supplementing some lessons you might be teaching your club members, or for like kickstarting discussions for your club. Having discussions about current events are usually really fun. So one that stood out to me that the A&M Cyber Club did is towards the beginning of our fall semester, since school was totally virtual, a lot of our classes were having us use HonorLock to like proctor our quizzes and tests. And so we had a discussion in the Cyber Club talking about HonorLock's terms and conditions and what they actually get access to on your computer. And so we had a discussion, and we also talked about running it in a virtual machine and actually trying to take it apart. And so that was really fun because you get a lot of engagement from your club members and your officer teams. And so another thing that's usually pretty fun is having club members or officers do little like presentations about their current interests. So if someone has been doing like a little research project, or they've been really getting into a topic lately and they want to share that with the club, that can be a really good way to let your club members also feel like they're like in charge of the curriculum and letting them like participate more. Because you want to have events, but you also want to make sure that your club members are participating and you're doing things that are enjoyable for them, because you want them to be excited about coming to your club meetings, and you want them to feel like they're a part of a community. So while the year goes on, obviously, if you're a new club, you're gonna want to set some of your own things to start looking at and doing. But once you have a feel for what your club members actually like to do, don't be afraid to like change up your curriculum and change it up every once in a while to like keep things fresh and to make sure your club members are always like engaged and feeling like they're participating. You could do study groups for certificates. So for the A&M Cyber Club over the summer, we're still meeting as a club and we're doing like little study groups for certifications. So I know right now they have a weekly study group for people that are doing Security Plus. And then we are also doing a book club. I think it's our Lysis chapter that's doing it, but I thought that was really fun. And it was something I hadn't considered before, is doing like a cybersecurity book club. So we were reading things like Cult of the Dead Cow, Transformational Security Awareness, Black Hat Python, The Phoenix Project, The Dark Net, REAMD, American Kingpin. There's a lot of books out there, both fictional and informative, that have to do with cybersecurity. So if you have some like readers in your club, that's a really great way to like kickstart discussions, is to have these little book club meetings as a part of your club activities. Another really like popular thing, and this is across the board from all the clubs that I've been surveying and from my own club, I've noticed that bringing in guest speakers is usually like something that club members really enjoy. So for us at A&M, for us, one of our like really cool ones was we had someone from Red Hat come in, and he sort of did like a day in the life, just talking to us about his job, and then talking to us about how did he actually end up at Red Hat, how did he get to where he is now. And so you can bring in guest speakers. This is where having like a really good faculty sponsor comes in, because if there's someone that's plugged into cybersecurity or computer science, they should hopefully be able to help you find guest speakers that can come in and give you like relevant talks. And even if you're a pretty small club or an informal club and you're not able to like engage with local companies or to really get guest speakers to come in. You could also have like virtual speakers. So this might be inviting all of your club members to come watch like a webinar like this, or to watch like a TED Talk. So I noticed a lot of you are fans of James, and so he's got some TED Talks out there that are really good. So if you're not able to get like an actual live speaker, maybe you could do like a viewing of one of James's TED Talks or something like that. And so I know WESIS, or Women in Cybersecurity, they have a lot of webinars, and if you sign up, I think you can get access to those. And so those are about, there's technical talks, there's things like career preparation, like how do you build a good resume, how do you prepare for like technical jobs when it comes to cybersecurity. And so this might not be as relevant to the high school clubs, but I know that if you're a college club, your club should probably do a little bit of like job preparation type activities. So this could be things like resume reviews, doing like technical interview practice, attending job fairs, or like even organizing job fairs. And you can bring in, this is another really great way to like interact with other clubs. So if you're doing like resume reviews, you might want to partner with like the computer science club or the programming club or something related, and have like a joint event, because not only will this help you like meet new students and like get new prospective members, but you'll also like start building relationships with these other clubs, and you can start doing bigger events. And so, and on that note, another like good idea for a club that's just now starting out, that might be in its first year or two, or even for a really well-established club, is to start actually building connections with other cybersecurity or information security clubs that are out there. So I noticed yesterday in the chat, I think his name was Vishnu, he was talking about how he built a platform for local high schools around him for their like cybersecurity clubs to like interact with each other. And so I think that's a really like great idea, is to actually like start talking to these other clubs and to see if you can like do events with them, or to like put together a way for your students to kind of plug into this like bigger community of people that are all share the same interests and passion. And so that's also like, it's really great if you're a smaller club, because if you're working with larger clubs, you not only have like mentors to help you develop your club, but you've also kind of got a wider network now. So like you can ask them to introduce you to their guest speakers, or when they bring in guest speakers, you can say, hey, can you let some of our club members attend? Or if they're like doing a virtual guest speaker, you can say, can we also like hop on that Zoom link? But so that's what I have for starting a club, and to get a small club to actually be successful is you want to have a good faculty leader that's going to support you. You want to have a really committed team of officers. You want to do the most that you can to recruit members. And so once you've got these three things, you want to start doing activities. And so I know I mentioned a bunch, and there's a lot of other activities that you can do besides the one that I've mentioned. And so once you start doing these activities, you've really like kickstarted yourself as a club. And after that point, it's really just growing your club, growing like the kind of activities you do, figuring out what it is that your club members like to participate in, and what you can do to like grow as a club and as individuals. But so do we have any questions from the crowd? If you want to ask me anything, please make sure you're putting it into the Q&A box and not the chat.
Hi, Haya. Yeah, we actually have some good questions coming up. So the first one here is, how do you find and get in contact with guest speakers for your club? Like you want to have events and you want to have speakers. How do you actually find those and get them to come talk?
Yeah, so when you're looking for guest speakers, one of the easiest ways to do this, like I said, if you have a faculty member that like is related to like cybersecurity or has like a background in this, hopefully they can recommend some guest speakers to you. But even if your faculty member is not able to help with that, like don't worry, because you can start going to usually reaching out to like local companies is a really good way to find a guest speaker, or even reaching out to like your school's cybersecurity center or like technology center. Most like school districts or colleges will have like a chief of security officer or someone that's running the cybersecurity for your school or school district. And so you can invite them to come as a guest speaker. And so one of the clubs that I was talking to, one of these college clubs that I was like surveying, actually mentioned that bringing in someone from the faculty or like from your security office is really great, because not only do they make a great speaker, but they usually know they might be able to like introduce you to some opportunities on campus for your like club members to start participating, whether that's like job opportunities at the security office or like internships or stuff like that. So definitely like reach out to local employers and reach out to your school security officers. You can also reach out to people on, this one is a little bit harder, but if you want to try reaching out to people on LinkedIn and trying to set up like a virtual event where your speaker isn't someone who comes in physically, but it's over Zoom. After COVID, I know pretty much everyone is now a lot more familiar with doing these kinds of online events. So finding a guest speaker can definitely be difficult, especially finding someone to actually come in live. So that's why I mentioned rather than having like a live guest speaker, you could also have like a little guest speaker event where you've got like a TED Talk or something like that playing.
All right, great. Thank you, Haya. Here is another one. And I saw a lot on the chat stream where people saying, well, like, I'm the only one in my school that's interested in cybersecurity. Maybe they just don't know. So, you know, if someone thinks it's very beneficial to have a cybersecurity club at their school, but they're not sure if anyone's actually interested in cybersecurity, have you heard from people at groups that there's a challenge that maybe they just don't happen because there's a lack of commitment or lack of members? Are there, and I think you did speak to a lot about sparking interest, but how would you go about, how would you encourage someone to start one, even if they're not sure what the interest level is?
Yeah. So like I mentioned, my high school didn't have a cybersecurity club. We just had a computer science club. So if you don't think there's enough members for you to start your own cybersecurity club, one thing, so what I did is I joined my computer science club as the cybersecurity officer. So I just went out of my way to start doing more, to like start drawing people in and getting more people to like do cybersecurity competitions. And I started introducing more students to this topic. And so I graduated last year, and I believe there is a cybersecurity club now at my school. And so sometimes, even if you can't start like an actual cybersecurity club, hopefully there's another club, like a computer science club or a programming club, or maybe even like a robotics club that you can kind of like piggyback off of to like try to like find people that are already kind of interested in this and get them to like participate. I know for me, even before I was a cybersecurity like officer, one of the ways that I was able to find some of these like students that were interested was when I was a junior and I did Girls Go CyberStart. When I did it, it was a team competition. So I had to like go out and find girls that were like interested in participating with me. And these are some of the people that were able to like help me my senior year when I became the cybersecurity officer. These were the people that were like helping me like spread the word and helping like other people do competitions with me. And these girls, a lot of them weren't even people that were planning on going into computer science or cybersecurity. Some of them were planning on being like English majors or like psychology majors, or just something like completely unrelated to even like technology after high school. So when you are like looking for people that might be interested, don't limit yourself to only talking to like people that you already know are interested in tech. I would talk to like other teachers, and that's why like getting the word out to your entire school is usually a lot better than just talking to like a specific professor or department, because you start reaching like a wider audience, and you never know who might be interested in like getting involved with cybersecurity. So like, I know when I tell a lot of my friends that I'm in the cybersecurity club, like now at college, I have a lot of people tell me like, I'm so interested in like cybersecurity or like joining the club, but I'm like a chemical engineering major, or I'm like an art major, and I don't know if I like, do I really belong there? And it's like, yes, anyone who has an interest, they should be able to get involved. So I think as like when you're starting a club, or if you already are a club, having a very like low barrier to entry is really important, because you want to make sure that you're allowing everyone who's interested the opportunity to actually like get involved, even if they feel like it might not be for them, or they might feel like they don't belong. Make sure you're actually like letting these students know that, hey, if you're interested in cybersecurity, like we have a place for you. So I hope that, I know I kind of went off tangent, but I hope that answers the question.
Yeah. I think that was a good detailed answer, Haya. Thank you. This has been a very informative session.